Why is it so easy for people, humans, and animals? Even we don't even know. Animals don't know how to use social media yet. But why is it so easy for humans?
I love yet. It's coming.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
That's gonna be crazy, dude. When we find out the truth about what some of the animals think, because we've had kind of like a lot of set views on animals for a long time.
Octopus Twitter. Yeah. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, can I get a piano down here? What the fuck do you think I'm doing with all these arms? Why is it so easy for us to say something so mean in a place like social media, or to want to, or it's really crazy because you wouldn't really do that in person.
You wouldn't do that in person because you're scared of the risk. Not scared, but you're mindful of the response. And one time I posted a picture on Twitter and I was like, it's we're all gathered to drive our muscle cars. And they're not muscle cars. I know what a muscle car is. They're not really muscle cars. I just have said it, And then there were all these nasty comments about they're not muscle cars. I remember my brother read it and he was so hurt. He was like, why are they being so mean to us? We're just driving our cars for fun. It's like, there's a period where where you don't understand it. It's an impersonal medium masquerading as a personal medium.
Right.
That's the thing. And it takes a little while for you to wrap your head around the fact that no, this doesn't matter. It's it matters as little as that, in the old world, that person said that same thing, but you didn't hear it. Now you hear it, but it's just as trivial. It didn't matter. It's like, right.
Right, but we can't correlate. You're right. We can't correlate that.
Yeah.
It's real interesting because some people probably never recognize that it doesn't matter. Right. To some people, that's their life. That's all that matters.
Yeah. They get I think that some part of me, that's worn off for me, and now I care less.
Yeah, totally. Same. But I think it's interesting because, that used to be chatter in the background, like people saying, oh, that's retarded, that's ridiculous, that's crazy, right? Or that's awesome, that's great, what a great idea. But those were things you heard those were things in the periphery you never heard.
You never heard them.
It was just the chatter in the distance. But now those are things, if you want to access the chatter in the distance, instead of just having like somebody that means something to you communicate or getting an interpretation of something from someone that has value, or getting even even negative feedback, but from someone that you respect, you can get those things still, but and those have value, but otherwise you can also tap into all that other shit.
Yeah.
That doesn't, but it still hurts the same.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting is how much it
does. Yeah. It's a reminder, I think one of the things that I don't think it's new with social media, but it has always been the case that there are a small number of people who, I don't even know whether it's always deliberate, but who express their personal unhappiness or their confusion or their befuddlement in hostile language. And like I said, a lot of times I don't think they mean to be hostile. It's just how it comes out. A lot of times, people who don't communicate for a living aren't necessarily expert at adequately explaining why they don't like something or their reactions to something. They've always been there. We just never heard their voices. That's sort of what we're getting at. Most people, I once conducted an experiment where I responded nicely to people who said nasty things about me on Twitter. And I wanted to see what happened. And what happens if they respond again is they almost invariably back down. And you realize that they didn't mean harm to you, or they weren't actually angry at you or hostile. They just didn't know how to express. They had a comment they wanted to make that was with an issue they had with what you were saying. They just didn't know how to say it in a way that was kind of socially kind of positive. And if you're nice about it and kind of, I used to call this love bombing, and I'm still a believer in love bombing. So I would love bomb them, and I would just sort of be nice in a response. And they would always like calm down and they would say, yeah, you're right. You're kind of right. I just wondered about this. And you're like, all of a sudden you're having a conversation with them, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's very easy to disarm 90% of critics
Yeah.
just by kind of giving them the opportunity to be nicer about what they're saying. I read somewhere, someone was talking about how do kids learn how do they learn about social interactions? And if you see this especially with boys. I have a almost 2-year-old, though it's a girl, not a boy, but I actually see it a little bit with her. So when they touch you, they don't know anything about how to calibrate their touch. So the difference between a tap and a punch isn't there yet. So, my 2-year-old will reach out to me and she'll, you'll go, ow, right? And because she's trying to do a playful touch my hair playfully, but she pulls my hair. She wants to touch my nose, but she ends up whacking me in the nose. And what she's getting when I say ow is feedback. And do that enough times and she learns how to calibrate her touch. She learns that if she is legit angry with me, she'll go boom. But if she wants to be playful, she'll go tap. And you see it with kids interacting with animals, right? They start to learn, oh, there's a difference between pulling a tail and stroking a tail, right? But you only learn that if you have repeated interactions in person where you get to practice and learn what's acceptable and what's not. Mm-hmm. When a kid doesn't have access to that kind of practice, then they don't know how to calibrate, right? And there's a whole theory about bullies, that bullies are simply kids who never learn that same process. So they keep hitting too hard and the other kids start to ostracize them. And that means they're robbed of that additional learning. It's like a vicious circle. And they don't have any chance to practice again. So they're in
prison.
So they're in prison. They're like, and they're 7 and they're still hitting too hard. And the other kids are like, you know what? I'm not dealing with you at all. Like, you don't know how to behave, right?
Yeah.
And I think social media is a version of the bullying. You're not getting the feedback when you're hitting too hard, right? You're not, right? There's no, you say the nasty comment and that's it. You're done. Yeah. No one says ow.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why I like to respond to my critics.
Then you do get a feedback.
So
it's like, oh, I didn't really mean that, or this is what I meant.
And they get the
hey, man, we had a great time. I'd had a tough day. People say stuff like that. I've done that too. Sometimes you want to reply to somebody who says something that's kind of like, they didn't think something was fair because you want to see what's going on. I genuinely sometimes want to make them okay. Yeah. And so you'll reply back, and you're right. A lot of times it just extremely de-escalates.
Yeah.
Hope you enjoyed that video, and you can watch another. And you can watch this one, you can watch this one. Different options, different choices. Some guy just brings you one option, not this guy. 2 options. Watch one, this one or this one.